In this video, you will see a detailed examination of the Battle of Verdun, the infamous Verdun meat grinder of 1916, including deep tactical analysis of both sides. Welcome. Okay, so to really get our heads around the absolute horror and the tactical genius of Verdun, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the chilling logic that kicked this whole thing off, then dive deep into the German attack plan and the French defense. After that, we'll step into the meat grinder itself. And finally, we'll look at the verdict and the legacy it left behind.
All right, part one, the chilling calculus. Now, to understand Verdun, you have to picture the nightmare that was 1915. The Western Front is completely bogged down. It's just this static, bleeding wound of trenches stretching all the way from the North Sea to Switzerland. Nobody can break through. So a new and terrifying kind of logic was needed. And the German High Command, they thought they had found it.
And this sentence, right here, from German Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn, this is the monstrous key to the entire battle. He came up with a plan that was diabolically simple. The goal wasn't to capture territory, it wasn't to break the French lines, no. The goal was to find a place the French could not and would not give up, and then to just kill them there, endlessly, until their entire army literally bled to death. So what does this strategy of attrition really mean in practice? Well, it's basically the Industrial Revolution applied to mass killing. It's turning human beings, soldiers, into numbers on a grim spreadsheet. The whole point is to inflict casualties faster than the other guy can replace them, to just grind them down, physically and mentally, until they completely collapse. Falkenhayn wasn't trying to win a battle of maneuver. He was building a human meat grinder. And the target, Verdun, was chosen with ice-cold surgical precision. You see, Verdun was more than just a city. It was a sacred symbol of French history, a source of national pride. On top of that, tactically, it stuck out into the German lines, forming a salient, a bulge, that could be attacked from three sides. And the crucial part? Its ring of old forts acted like a perfect lure, a magnet that would force France to throw division after division into its defense. It was the perfect trap. Okay, so the target is chosen. Now Germany gets ready to unleash a storm of violence unlike anything the world had ever seen. This wasn't just another offensive. This was the physical embodiment of that attrition strategy, a doctrine designed for pure annihilation. The entire German doctrine was built on one idea: absolute annihilation by firepower. They gathered almost 1,200 artillery pieces, including the monstrous Big Bertha howitzers that could lob a shell the size of a man over 9 kilometers. And this unbelievable artillery storm would be combined with terrifying new weapons, poison gas to shatter morale and flamethrowers to literally burn defenders out of their trenches. All of it was designed to pave the way for a whole new type of soldier. And right here, this is the birth of modern warfare. We're done with the massive human waves charging across no man's land. Instead, you have these small, elite stormtrooper squads, the Stoßtruppe, following right behind a creeping wall of artillery fire. Their job wasn't to take every single trench. No, their job was to infiltrate, to slip between the French strongpoints, hitting command posts and gun positions deep in the rear. This created total chaos, which allowed the regular infantry to come up and just mop up the isolated defenders. It was fast, it was violent, and it was unbelievably lethal. But Germany wasn't attacking some unprepared enemy. Facing this storm of steel was a French army that would create one of the most resilient defensive systems in history, all of it built around one defiant rallying cry: "Ils ne passeront pas," they shall not pass. Under General Philippe Pétain, the French knew that courage alone wasn't going to cut it. They set up a defense-in-depth system with multiple trench lines, forcing the Germans to bleed for every single inch of ground. Their artillery wasn't just firing randomly. It was focused on counter-battery fire, hunting down and destroying the German guns, causing all the carnage. But most importantly, Pétain started something called the Noria system. Think of it like a water wheel. It constantly cycled fresh troops to the front while pulling out the exhausted, shattered units. This prevented any one division from just breaking. And all of it, every bullet, every loaf of bread, every man, was supplied by one single road, the Voie sacrée, the sacred way. It was the absolute lifeline of the French defense. So, what Verdun becomes is this pure, head-on collision between two totally opposite ways of thinking about war. The German goal? Annihilation. Break the French army with one massive, overwhelming punch. The French goal? Endurance. Outlast the storm, take the hits, and make the price for every inch of French soil absolutely unbearable. It was the German hammer of infiltration versus the French anvil of rotation. Okay, the strategies are set, the armies are in position, and now the curtain rises on 10 straight months of industrialized slaughter. The theory of the meat grinder was about to become a horrific, horrific reality. The battle kicks off on February 21st, 1916, with a 9-hour artillery bombardment of just unimaginable ferocity. Over 1 million shells, 1 million, fell on a front that was only a few miles wide. It was a man-made earthquake. The sound, this constant drum fire, could be heard over 100 miles away. It literally tore the landscape to shreds, vaporized trenches, and buried French soldiers alive where they stood. It was a storm designed to simply erase the enemy before the infantry even climbed out of their trenches. And the battle just unfolds in these agonizing phases. First, that initial German storm makes shocking gains, and they capture the massive Fort Douaumont. And that just plunges the battle into months of brutal, grinding warfare for every single shattered hill and ruin. By summer, the fighting had become the bloody stalemate that Falkenhayn wanted, this relentless cycle of attack and counterattack. But then, something amazing happens. In the fall, a rebuilt French army, armed with new tactics and their own massive artillery parks, began to do the impossible. They started to push the Germans back.
These names, Fort Vaux, Hill 304, Le Mort Home, the Dead Man, these aren't just places on a map. They are monuments to human suffering. The fighting here was medieval in its savagery, but completely industrial in its scale. I mean, inside the dark, gas-choked corridors of Fort Vaux, soldiers fought for weeks with grenades, bayonets, and flamethrowers. On the hillsides, men just disappeared into a landscape of mud and shell craters. The battlefield itself became the weapon. After 300 days and 300 nights of nonstop combat, the battle finally burns itself out in December of 1916. And the front line? It was almost exactly where it had started. The cost, though, was immeasurable. So, what's the final verdict on this cataclysm? This, right here, is the most important question of the entire battle. Falkenhayn had a very specific, chillingly clear goal. He didn't need to take the city, he just needed to destroy the army defending it. So, did his gruesome math problem actually work? The numbers are just almost impossible to wrap your head around. Roughly 700,000 men became casualties. Let that sink in. That's an average of over 70,000 men killed, wounded, or missing for every single month of the battle. This isn't just the statistic, it's the death of a generation. It's the permanent scarring of two nations. But when you break down those numbers, you see the catastrophic, fatal flaw in Falkenhayn's entire plan. Look at this. It wasn't a one-sided slaughter at all. For every French soldier that fell, a German soldier fell right there beside him. The meat grinder didn't care about the color of the uniform. The German army, the tool of attrition, was itself being worn down at an almost identical and completely unsustainable rate. So when you lay it all out side by side like this, the verdict is just undeniable. The plan was a complete and utter strategic failure. It didn't bleed France to collapse, it bled both armies to the breaking point. It didn't break the French will to fight, it forged it into this unbreakable symbol of national resistance. And far from being a decisive victory, it created a bloody stalemate that would end up costing Falkenhayn his job. So Verdun's legacy is incredibly profound and complex. On one hand, it will forever be the ultimate symbol of the senseless, industrialized horror of World War I. But on the other hand, it was a crucible. The tactical ideas born in this hell, infiltration, defense in depth, coordinated artillery, they would go on to define warfare for the rest of the 20th century. It became a cornerstone of modern French identity, and it served as a terrifying lesson on the failure of seeing war as just a simple, grim math problem. And that leaves us with one final, really provocative thought. The tactics of World War II. They were forged in the mud of 1916. The German Blitzkrieg was, in so many ways, the perfection of the stormtrooper tactics tested at Verdun. And the French obsession with fixed forts, like the Maginot Line, that was a direct psychological scar from their desperate defense of the forts of Verdun. The shadow of this battle is incredibly long, and its lessons, paid for with so much blood, continued to shape history for decades to come.
Thank you for watching this detailed tactical breakdown of one of the bloodiest battles in human history. If you want more in-depth videos about World War I battles with tactical analysis, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave your comments below. Which battle should we cover next?